Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into some incredibly powerful ancient stories. Now, these aren't just myths, they're really deep explorations of the consequences of our actions, tales that have echoed for centuries and force us to ask a really fundamental question. In Buddhist thought, this question isn't just some hypothetical. It's the reality of samsara, this endless and often pretty scary cycle of death and rebirth. It's a journey that can take you to all sorts of different realms. Some are amazing, and others, well, they're filled with suffering you can't even imagine. So what's the engine driving this whole cycle? It's karma. Think of it as this universal law of cause and effect. Every single thing we do, say, or even think creates a ripple that shapes not just our life right now, but where we're going to end up in the next one. It's kind of like the ultimate system of accountability, where the universe keeps all the receipts. All right, so let's jump into our first story from the source material. And you might want to brace yourself, because it's a chilling one. It's all about a single family whose individual choices led them all to the same horrifying fate in what's known as the Preta, or hungry ghost realm. So first up, we have the father. In life, he was a merchant who cheated everyone by mixing mud and worthless husks into good rice just to make a bigger profit. Now, in the ghost realm, his punishment is a direct, twisted reflection of his crime. He's forced to lie on a bed made of those exact same husks, except now they're burning hot. And in his agony, he just scoops them up and pours them all over his own head.
Then there's the mother. She was unbelievably stingy, always hoarding food and refusing to share it with guests. And to cover up her greed, she swore a false oath. She actually said, "If I am lying, may the food I eat become filth." And this is what's so wild about these stories. The consequences are so literal. Now, any food that even comes near her instantly turns into disgusting waste, which she's then forced to eat.
The son's sin was an act of pure violence and disrespect. He got so angry once that he actually struck his own mother on the head. So his karmic echo, he has to relive that violence, but he's doing it to himself. He's trapped, endlessly smashing his own head with a heavy iron club in this inescapable cycle of self-inflicted pain. And the daughter-in-law's story is just as dark. She secretly ate some meat that was supposed to be for the whole family. When she got caught, she also swore a false vow, declaring, "If I ate it, may I have to eat my own flesh." And, well, her fate is exactly that. She's tormented by this constant hunger that forces her to tear strips of flesh from her own back and eat them. So here's the real kicker, the thing that seals their fate. The entire family died together in a plague. That means there was nobody left behind in the human world, no kids, no relatives, no one, to do good deeds or make offerings in their name. Those are the kinds of acts that could have maybe helped them. But without that, they are just completely and utterly trapped by the echoes of their own actions. But here's the thing. Karma isn't just about punishment. It's also about opportunity, about change. Our next story shows a totally different side of it, and it really highlights how a sincere apology, a true change of heart, can create a powerful, positive echo. Okay, so this one starts with a young man who does something awful. He sees a food offering for some monks and says it would be better off just thrown in a sewer. And karma being what it is, in his next life, he's born and then abandoned in that very sewer. But, and this is a huge but, before he had died, he realized he'd made a huge mistake, apologized to the Buddha, and even sponsored a week-long food offering. That one single act of genuine repentance completely changed his destiny. And this is where his good karma shows up in the most amazing ways. I mean, think about it. An abandoned baby in a sewer, his life should have been over in minutes. But instead, miracles started happening. Milk literally started flowing from his thumb to feed him. Animals that should have been a threat, like crows and dogs, actually stood guard and protected him. His past goodness basically created a force field around him until he could be found and go on to live this new, amazing life. So this brings us to this bigger idea that's all over the source material, the concept of merit. It's this belief that good deeds done by the living can actually be dedicated to people in other realms, almost like sending a spiritual care package to help them out. And to really get this, let's look at the story of a woman who, in her life, was just consumed by greed. She hoarded 400,000 coins, painstakingly saved them, never used them, never gave any away. And that wealth, which gave her zero joy in life,
ended up becoming the very source of her torment after she died.
As a hungry ghost, her bad karma completely warped her perception of reality. If she went to a river to drink, desperate with thirst, the water would just look like dry sand. If she tried to get out of the heat under a tree, the shade would turn into the scorching sun. Even a cool breeze felt like fire on her skin. There was just no relief anywhere. Her only hope was an act of merit from the world of the living. She somehow managed to appear before a traveler from her hometown and begged him to deliver a message. She told him where her secret stash of coins was hidden so he could tell her mother. And her one instruction was, use that money, the very symbol of her greed, to make a generous offering on her behalf. Her only way out was to let go of the very thing she couldn't part with in life.
So, okay, these are fascinating ancient stories, right? But what's their relevance for us today? In this last section, let's try to connect these karmic lessons to some of the timeless patterns of human behavior that we still see all around us. The parallels are pretty striking, aren't they? Selling rice mixed with mud? I mean, that's just the ancient version of modern-day fraud or shady marketing. Hoarding 400,000 coins you never use? That sounds a lot like extreme materialism without any sense of charity. And a son hitting his mother? That speaks directly to the modern tragedy of elder neglect and abuse. The sins haven't really changed, just the details.
So what's the antidote to all this? Well, the source material is actually pretty clear on how to create positive echoes instead of negative ones. It's about actively practicing generosity, not greed. It's about upholding moral conduct in everything we do, cultivating mindfulness of our thoughts and our actions, and seeking out wise advice to guide us. It's really a blueprint for a better life. And, a better afterlife.
At the end of the day, these stories from the ghost realm aren't just here to scare us. They're here to make us think. They're pushing us to look at our own lives, our words, our deeds, our real intentions, and ask a very simple but very profound question. What echoes are my actions creating right now? Thanks so much for joining me.